We're your friends till the very end. We're
Nerdazons. So we're back this month. Thanks, Maz, for covering the last episode. You guys did amazing. I don't think I would have done very well with Suspiria, but my little quick notes, I really liked the original.
Did you?
Yeah, and I mean, I love Tilda Swinton, so...
You mean you like the remake, not the original?
No, I like the original.
And did you like the remake?
I did, but I like the original better.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just love Tilda Swinton, and I think she carried that film.
Also, like I said previously, Dakota Johnson is a great actress, I think, as well.
Yeah, and I think they had very good chemistry in that film together. Like, I think they carried it well.
Yeah.
But anyway, this month, I'm very, very excited because I love Halloween. Not that we get to celebrate it here, and I just love everything spooky and creepy. And we're doing the original Child's Play versus the remake Child's Play. Or as most people know it as, just Chucky. Mm-hmm. But that's not the actual title of the film, it's Child's Play.
Well, okay, first of all...
Quick side note.
Yep.
I was telling everyone, I'm going to record a podcast on Child's Play this weekend. And I didn't realize how bad that sounded until I said it. And I'm like, okay,
Chucky
I'm
movies.
going to talk about the Chucky films.
Well, okay, I had to, first of all, I had to leave this to literally the last minute because I have a fear of dolls and clowns. I don't know if I ever told you this, but what happened was when I was younger, I watched the original It.
Oh, yeah.
And you know the scene where he's in the very first scene where he's in the
The, drain?
drain, that's it,
Yeah.
when he's in the drain.
Or the sewer? Or,
Yeah, and then his eyes are there and it's creepy. Well, when I was younger, we watched it and we went for a walk and I was like, oh, there's my cat, Mitzi, hello kitty cat. And then what happened was it went down the drain and I was like, what are you doing? And then its legs got caught and its legs were hanging out a little bit and I'm just like, and then it looked like it got sucked in and its eyes then were glowing out of there. So you'll never see me walk past a drain. You'll never, I will avoid them at all costs. That scared me. And dolls and stuff just creep me out because I saw Annabelle and so I had to hold off this movie till literally 10 minutes ago when I finished it.
That's so funny because you know where the first creepy doll thing for me was before I even watched Child's Play as a kid was, do you remember the original first season of Round the Twist?
Yes.
And I forget what the
doll
daughter's
with
name.
with the no. Oh no, I'm thinking of Liftoff.
No, what is it? I think her name is Linda.
Yes, Linda.
Yeah. So she thought she was too old for her doll and she threw her doll out and her doll had an automated I think it was the pull string and it's cuddle me. And she kept hearing it everywhere and the doll kept coming back into the house and I'm I was so afraid to get rid of I had a Cabbage Patch doll. I still have her and I was so afraid to get rid of her. I'm I'm just going to put you on the shelf. You're not getting thrown out. I'm just going to leave you there. But I think that was my first creepy doll sort of interaction.
All right, so let's get into it. All right, so Child's Play, 1988, rated M. This movie is directed by Tom Holland. He's also known for directing Fright Night.
Which I love the original Fright Night.
I like the remake as well.
I have not seen the remake yet.
It's got David Tennant.
I know, but I can't stand the way he looks. Whereas in the original...
He's still such a babe.
Yeah, okay. I do need to watch it. I do, but I just feel
you need to watch it.
I don't know because I like I love the dance scene, which I think everyone loved with Chris Sarandon when she goes into the club.
Yeah,
and I just love the 80s music. It was just I'm a bit of a stickler for 80s
Fair
films,
enough.
and I think that's one thing I'm gonna just be upfront. I'm gonna be a little biased with this because from 70s to I'd say breaching on 2000, the year 2000, any horror films within there, I love. And I love them. Now they're not as good, in my opinion. So,
all right, so this movie is about a mother who gives her son a highly sought-after doll for his birthday, which seems to be possessed by a serial killer. Easy. But that's what I liked about it, is that you knew that he was a serial killer.
yeah, from the beginning. Yeah.
But one thing that I was just like, how does the guy who's now Chucky, when he's saying the spell and stuff, how does he know that? You know, when he's doing that giant spell to put his soul into Chucky.
Because, like, later in the scene, don't you remember when he goes and sees the voodoo guy who he learnt it from? So he learnt it from him. And he's like, you've tainted everything that I've taught you. I've got to fix this. And then bang, he'll kill him.
But that doll was
Spoiler
actually...
alert, sorry.
If you've already said...
It was released in 1988, so...
I remember watching this when I was younger, and it just being like super creepy.
Like, I think what a lot of people don't realize with the original is when it was released, people weren't expecting it, and it broke the box office. It was such a hit. Yeah, people just weren't expecting it, and I think it would have been hard to compete with.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like it. I think the storyline was interesting. It was a bit, there was a lot in the storyline. It was very packed. Like, you had the serial killer, you had the voodoo elements, the supernatural elements, the kid and the mum's lifestyle story. Yeah. Like, there was a lot in the story.
It only just clicked that the mum is the mum out of Seventh Heaven.
Really? I never really realized that. Is it?
Yeah, it's the mum out of Seventh Heaven.
Wow.
I know. I was like, wait, I know you. So...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Wow. I didn't realize that. Well, she looked very different when she was younger.
Yeah. And, you know, I like the fact that the doll was a little bit creepy, but... and I wasn't expecting it to be so big. Well,
so the doll was actually... So there was actually an actor... quote me if I'm wrong, I think it was like, I think his name was Eddie Gale or something I was reading, and I really do apologize if I've got that wrong, but there was an actor who actually played Chucky. So when you saw him running around and like arm movements and things, that was a guy in a costume doing Chucky.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think they would have had the prop doll, which is, you know, when he sticks him on the couch or when the mum flips him over and checks that there's no batteries or something. But there was actually a guy that played Chucky. So
wow.
Yeah, which is where I've got notes for the next one. So
well, one thing is that, okay, it's a 6-year-old kid. If he's going to tell you that his dolls, you know, come to life, of course you're not going to believe him.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that he belongs in a mental institution.
No, yeah, that did escalate very quickly. But I think the only reason it escalated to that point is because there were murders. And if they didn't, I think, contain the situation, like, say for instance it was the kid, and if you didn't contain that, well, who's to say he wouldn't do it again?
But that just like irritated me so much.
I think it's an easier way to keep an eye on the kid until you figure it out, like, or see if there's someone else doing it, as opposed to him being like back in the house.
Well, and I have to say it was a very easy watch, because now that, you know, I'm a lot older and I'm less scared of dolls.
I think we've managed to desensitize you a lot in the last year for horror films.
Yeah.
Which I'm so glad, because I have so many more to do.
I know. But like, I was watching it and then the next minute I looked down and it had 20 minutes to go and I'm like, oh wow, this is easy.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, what I like about this is the scares were very suspenseful. So you don't actually see him really killing anyone until the end, because it builds up to be like, oh, was it actually Andy though? We didn't see it until the end, and then you start seeing him kill.
Yes.
But like, and I like the suspense. Like, if you're at home on your own, which I'm sure we have all done, even I have done, and you hear a noise and you go and investigate, and then you see something and you think, was that doll there?
Yep.
Did I put this here? Yeah. And I really like that they played on that, because everyone goes through that.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we just don't have killer dolls in house. I mean, fortunately, we don't.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunate for her, fortunate for us.
Yes. I enjoyed it, and yeah, I haven't seen any of the others, I must admit.
Yeah. Like, I also think
I did enjoy it.
Yeah, I 100% think this one, like, it was perfect. I didn't think that it really needed the remake.
I was like shocked though when like they were talking, and then the next minute like Chucky dropped an F-bomb, and I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah, I think there was another really big selling point for this one, is because Chucky, he had the personality, he had the humor, he was still that crazy, like, it was a perfect personality to put to a doll.
Yes.
And that's what made it funny, to see a doll act like that, you know? And I think as a character itself, he aced that for
One
the
other
doll.
thing. Who buys a doll off a sketchy guy in an alleyway?
A mum who really needs to get her kid a present, a single mum.
I guess, but I mean, like...
Well, it was her friend that sent her there, so...
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I would never send you down an alleyway
Me
to buy my
either.
kids, even though I don't have any, to buy
Yes.
a sketchy doll.
I 100% agree with
Like,
that.
that's one thing that frustrated me. I was just like, why would you send, like, get your kids something else?
Yeah, I just don't
know.
think she had the money for
No,
anything else.
I understand that, but it just, like, really? You're gonna send your kid...
Yeah.
You're gonna... Like,
And I like the fact that they had... the young actor is brilliant. The boy who played Andy. I don't know his name. That was one thing I didn't check. I probably should have. But he did it so well. Like, he really had that innocent, like, tone to his voice and looks on his faces, and even when he'd get angry, it was just
he was
a little
great
pouty
little
lip.
actor.
Yeah, he was very good.
Alex Vincent is the kid.
Yeah, he was really good, and I think it was good to have it as a kid, like, because a
Yeah.
kid's gonna play with that doll,
Yeah.
not in the next one when it's an older kid, but
Yeah.
it made sense with the way they went with it. So we'll
Yeah.
get into that in a
No,
moment.
that's what I wanted to touch on as well, is that kid was an amazing
Yeah,
actor.
he's in the second one as well, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen the second one for years, so don't quote me on that.
Mm-hmm. No, and like that kid, he's gonna have some issues when he grows up.
Yeah, like I don't think any horror film that's had kids in it has ended well for them.
No.
Yeah, if you go back enough and look into it. But no, I like it. I like the setting as well, like the cinematography. It shows it's really dank. Like, they really focus on the sketchy alleyways,
Yeah.
the like homeless people around the fire drums,
yeah.
and they really
It
showed
was kind
that.
of realistic.
Yes, like
Yeah.
that she was a struggling mum, and
Yeah.
and I liked that they showed swapping shifts, because I think that is something that every single mum struggles with, is the babysitting and how can you take work and when you've got to look after your kids. So I think that was done really well as well.
Yeah. How many stars do you give it?
For a horror film, okay, relevance for when it was released in 88, I'd say it would be 4.5.
Yeah.
I think for myself, I'd give it a 4 now.
Okay.
So I'd drop it a little bit.
I'm gonna give it about a 4 because it was
just executed very well.
yes.
Yes.
And what do you think it got on Rotten Tomatoes?
I'm aiming for 97, but I'll bet you it was something like 70.
Very close, 67%.
That's no,
Yep.
that deserved much more than that.
And and it is currently streaming on Stan, the Child's Play 88
Yep.
version.
Yeah.
That's where I watched it. All right, do you want to move on to the next one?
All right, let's do this. I have
All right.
actually got a lot of notes on this
Okay.
one.
So Child's Play 2019. I rented this one on Google Play because it's not available on any streaming devices at the moment. And it is rated MA15 again. Directed by Lars Klevenberg. He's not known for much other than that. This one is a mother gives her 13-year-old boy a toy for his birthday, unaware of its more sinister nature. It kills people who disobey Andy.
Yep.
The doll is so creepy, but I also like...
The face, like, it bugged me a little bit because it was slightly not wonky, but it had like a weird protruding cheek on one side and not on the other, and it was like, I don't know if it's because it wasn't symmetrical or it didn't look right, and I'm like, this isn't right.
But also, I like the fact that it wasn't, like, it's connected to all your devices.
Yeah, that was one of the
like,
points that I had.
That is
Yeah.
creepy that it can control everything.
Yep.
But it
Yep.
also...
But like, we have that now. Like, think about it. It's like it's Alexa or Google Play, but in a doll.
I know.
And it's gonna come. It's very foreshadowing that we're gonna get this soon because it's already there. We've
Yeah.
got devices to control everything, and I think that's what worked for this one.
Yes. But I don't know how I feel about Aubrey Plaza being the mum. Like, to me, she's always...
She still looked like a
Parks and
15-year-old.
Rec.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember her from Parks and Rec, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, you can't be a mum.
But she does
like-
make it. She makes it seem more real for a young
Yeah.
mum, which, as she said, 16 was a very vital year for her.
Yes.
But I think the age there really does show with that.
No, and that's, that's great. and I liked her in this. It was just like every time that I saw her, I'm like, you're from Parks and Rec.
Yes, yeah. It's hard when you really like an actor for something to see them in something else.
Yeah.
So there were some differences. So in the original, they were called Good Guy Dolls.
Yeah.
And they're buddy dolls in this one.
Mm-hmm.
So they changed that a little bit. I felt this was more Small Soldiers. Do you remember that film?
I love that show.
I love that movie too. I really watched it. I loved it.
Yes.
But they were bad chips that got put into them, and it's kind of pretty much what they did with Chucky in this one. He's not. He's not a serial killer. He is like someone's just removed all the safety settings on him and put a bad chip in. So he's kind of like Small Soldiers there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I kind of got that vibe a little bit.
But I'm not a big fan of unnecessary gore. Like, I'm not a fan of that. Even like Walking Dead and stuff, I kind of gave up on that after the whole beginning of Negan thing. Because I'm not a huge fan. And this had too much gore for me, like with the saw and the guy. It was too much for me.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. I do have to say though, on a side note, I think the watermelon present was just...
Oh, that was so
That
crazy.
was awesome. But I think this is more... The way he did the death scenes in this one was very much... If you watched all the original Child's Play and Chucky, he got gorier as it went on.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, so like if you watched, for instance, one that I can remember, Bride of Chucky, he kills the dad or uncle or whatever of the girl, of Katherine Heigl's character, with like all the nails go in his face, and it's kind of like he almost looks like Pinhead from like Hellraiser, not Hellraiser, yeah, and like that got gory too. So I think as he goes on later, it gets gorier, but they just went full blown with this one.
Yeah.
I really liked the watermelon part. That was good.
Oh, that was so
That was creepy. If I
gross.
saw that, I think I'd like pass out.
I'd be
faint.
like Buff or whatever his name is and just vomit.
Yep. I think the dolls that in this one, a little bit of a difference is it was more universal, so it was for the entire family to enjoy, whereas the Good Guy dolls in the original, they were specifically targeted for kids.
And just that creepy song, I'm your best friend until the end. Just,
Yeah.
But yeah, Mark Hamill was great.
I think it was different.
Yes.
Like, we're so used to him with like his Joker voice or like that really raspy evil voice, and then to have this like weird creepy little innocent voice, we're best friends, Andy.
Yeah.
That was a bit creepy, but I wasn't a huge... I think the personality of Chucky in this one wasn't as strong as Brad Dourif in the original. I just think he knew how to play that very well.
Yes.
So you go?
No, you go.
I love how the girl knew how every robot movie turns out, and I've had this argument with everyone about robots and how we're going to be in the future, and she said it, and I'm like, yes, somebody gets me.
And then it was a badass girl at the end.
Yeah,
That was like,
trust the girl to like get the guys like ready to fight.
Like, the thing that was just like gave me the creeps was the fact that you could log into your phone and watch what the doll is looking at.
Yes.
And that when they put the doll over the newborn, like the baby, and was like, you'll be your friend forever.
Yeah. The marketing ads that they used, it was just like, this is not selling it for me. I would not go out and buy this for my house.
I would not buy this for like my arch nemesis.
Yeah. But I think that is something that worked well in this is it was really creepy when he was standing there, and you can see that he was looking right at his feet. But it was like, I think it was the car. So he was hooking into everything to see, and that I think is a very real situation at the moment, like especially with camera hacking and things like that. I think that worked like they angled that well to today's time. That was freaky when he saw it on the TV. Not for me.
No.
The cat noises that Chucky was replaying was kind of creepy in the middle of the night.
And like the Sam, I think his name was, the boyfriend, dick. Shane. I didn't like
The boyfriend?
him. Yeah, I didn't
The
like
one that
him
he,
at all.
yeah, he was married and had kids.
Oh, yeah, I
and like was
forgot.
going off at her for like her kids, and I'm like, oh no,
I was
you
gonna
do
be
not.
like, bitch, please.
Yes,
like
leave him. He does not deserve you.
no, and like threatening Andy, and I was just like, nah, you're not a good person at all.
No, he was not a very good person, and I hate to say it, not in the way that he was killed. That is not right, but he was a character that deserved to be killed.
Yeah, but the cat didn't.
No, that was so sad.
Poor kitty.
Uh,
But also, like, another thing that I noticed was that obviously Andy was a very lonely kid. But why would you buy, like, a toy and be like, now you're got a best friend and not be so lonely? Oh, and then when she's like...
Did
oh,
she
by the
say
way,
best friend, though? I don't think
No.
when she got it... Like, I think when she... For her... I don't know. The reasoning behind getting it is... it was a technology thing, and that's what kids want. They want the latest and greatest, and that was the only thing she could get him that was technology based.
No. And then another thing when she's like, oh, by the way, it's raining and it's like 9:00 at night.
Go outside.
Go hang out with those kids
Yeah.
over there. That's great parenting.
I know. I was just like, what?
I know. They're not sketchy.
I know. Another thing to the storyline, so I did feel it was very small soldiers. I also think it was very single white female because he was so obsessed with Andy, and it just gave you that vibe of the creepy girl that had to be the best friend of someone else. Like, it just...
That's a great movie, Single White Female. I haven't seen that in ages.
Same. I haven't seen that in a long time, but it did show that obsessive nature of Chucky. I don't think the scares in the new one was as well executed as
Not
the
at all.
original.
I was like, I'm easily scared. But this one, I was just like, I know what's going to happen.
Yeah, like in the original, they kind of go with the, like, it's very ambiguous. You don't know what's happening. Less is more sort of thing. And they build the suspense and the paranoia in it. Whereas this one, yeah, you knew what was happening. And I think because they would always show Chucky pre-setting things up, like where he'll grab something and you just knew it was coming.
Yeah.
I don't think the new one did the scares very well. With Chucky, though, it was, for like a behind the scenes thing, it was all animatronic. So they had 9 Chucky dolls that were always...
Wow.
Yeah, I was listening to behind the scenes, and they had like a van that had all the dolls in it. So you had prop Chucky, you had stunt Chucky, so that was obviously a more durable one for when they're running around. You had the animatronic like Chucky, so when you see him walking and things, it was an actual... They did actually use robotics, whereas like we said in the original, it was a guy in a costume.
Wow.
So they did... I think they did that well.
Yeah.
I just think the face looked weird, but I saw how they made it, so... To have it fit over the top, I can see why it was so chunky.
No, but like the doll was super creepy as well. Like the new Chucky doll, it looks sinister. It looks
I
like
just
it will
the
kill you.
eyes.
Yeah.
I can see why they need the eyes because it's the cameras, but yeah, I just, even in the dark, like you can't have that whole scene in like the original where it's all dark and you don't know where he is and you just hear the like pitter patter of Chucky running around, whereas in this one the eyes have full blown lights and you always know where he is. Like, you know, when he opens the door and he's locked up and you can see the red light.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that worked well for it.
And yeah, like back in the original when they were like, all we saw was little tiny feet. What could it be? And you're like, could it be like that? That's
yeah,
what
but they said it was the same size as his PJs and it had the same footprints because it was good guy PJs.
Yeah. But like they mentioned that, whereas in this one they didn't really. Nobody even suspected the doll, and like
except the kids knew quite quick, like full
they
on.
knew straight
But they
away.
never said anything to anyone when the doll like defaulted to try and stab him. They didn't think to tell anyone.
And that's one thing that annoyed me was that in the original, he's like, Mum, it's the doll. Like convinced, obviously, because it's true, but he was convinced, Mum, it's the doll. And she's like, nobody will believe you, rah. Whereas this one, they, like you said, they don't tell an adult. They don't tell anybody.
Yeah, not until he like snaps later on,
Yeah.
I think, when he's like smashing everything and she doesn't believe it at that point. But that could have been written a bit better. Mm-hmm. What will you give it?
2 stars.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
2 reels. I was going to go 1.5 to 2.
I just really wasn't interested in this one. It wasn't as good as the original for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think 100% two movie reels is what I'd give it, because I do think the AI aspect of it is really creepy, and to me, I feel like that's going to happen.
But even like the music in this and the score and stuff wasn't as good as the original.
Wasn't notable enough for me to
even notice it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
What do you reckon it got on Rotten Tomatoes?
16?
16?
Yep, going with that.
Okay, you're looking at it?
Yep.
64%.
Oh, thank God, the original one.
Yeah, thank goodness for that.
Wow, I would not, like, okay, I would maybe have suspected, like, a 50, but I wouldn't have thought 64. Wow.
Yep.
But I think, though, the difference is I think this can capture the new generation.
Yes.
Whereas, yeah, I just think, again, I'm a little biased. I like the 80s films, and I think they were perfect. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just wasn't for me.
Can we move on to the next part? Because I'm super duper
Okie
excited.
dokie, let's move on to Nerdazon's Nerdy Notables.
Okay, was just like, can we just hurry up? I need to talk about this. So, in case you're unaware, I am a massive, massive fan of Timothée Chalamet.
No.
Right?
Really?
Right?
I didn't know this.
Right? So, they had the premiere of The King in Sydney. And of course I went, I lined up, and I was so devastated to know that I didn't get my book signed, but I got to touch his hand, and oh my God, he is so beautiful in real life. And anyway, we were lining up, we got like heaps of Netflix swag, and
That's so cool.
I know.
I wish I went.
Just checking out social media throughout the day going, is it worth me going? And my friend was like, oh, I'm number 85. I've made it onto the red carpet. By the time I got there, they stopped giving out numbers because it was over 150 people, which it was at the Ritz, which is not a very big cinema.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why it was there. That wasn't a very...
I think it's because it is more of that classic vibe, and I think...
But why not make it at like the Dendy's in Newtown or something? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think Main Street Newtown would be much more difficult to get in and out.
I guess. But anyway, I got there and I was like, oh my goodness, there was like 300 people there. I was thinking nobody knows who he is. Nobody will be there. There was a lot of people. And then, so what happened was they said, about 4 people behind me, they're like, all right, come on. So we got onto the red carpet.
That's cool.
And where I could see like everybody getting out of the cars. So I got a really cool video of Joel Edgerton getting out of the car and the director getting out of the car, and Timmy, oh my goodness, he wore like an amazing blue suit. Anyway, so we lined up and they started giving away wristbands through, like they just chucked them into the crowd. And then, because I'm so short, there was no way I could have got one.
Yeah.
So I like saw it on the ground and I picked it up and I put it on. And they said, all right, whoever's got a wristband, you're going in to see the movie.
Which is awesome.
And I was like, what? Like, I got to actually see The King, which will be on Netflix November 1.
Cinema.
In the same cinema. I've got like the whole Q&A of, there was Joel, the director, I can't remember his name right now, sorry, and Timmy, of course.
Yeah. First name basis.
Yeah, exactly. So I got like the Q&A there. We sat down and they were like champagne, beers. We got like a champagne.
That's
when we got
freaking
in.
cool.
We sat down and there was like a thing of like cheese and crackers, and then they gave us popcorn, and
that's
like,
so awesome.
It was,
every time you tell me this, I'm like, damn, I wish I went.
It was amazing. And the movie, it is a slow burn. It is a beautiful film, but it is very plot heavy, and I think because I was so excited I didn't really take much notice, but of course I went the next day because I wasn't expecting to see the movie, so I brought tickets and me and my friends went last night, and seeing it again, it is incredible. But with Twilight the Vampire, what's his name? Robert Pattinson. That's his name, isn't it? Twilight the Vampire?
No.
Oh, what's his name?
I think Edward Cullen.
Oh.
Yeah.
Clearly I'm a fan of Twilight. No. What's his,
so the actor's name is Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson, thank you.
Or Patterson, I think.
Pattinson.
I think everyone just says Patterson.
I was expecting him to have a lot more in the movie. He is absolutely fantastic.
He's very underrated.
Absolutely.
With some of his work, and I think I've said this to you multiple times. Same with Kristen Stewart.
I
same
don't like
with,
Kristen Stewart.
No, I like some of her indie films. They're really good. And same with Daniel Radcliffe. He does really well alternative and indie films. And I think they're all underrated because they got the stigma of the films that
Exactly.
they got stuck in.
What I was saying before is that when like Timothée Chalamet came on, I mean, you knew it was him, but you didn't, when you see like Tom Cruise and you're like, oh my God, that's Tom Cruise. And you know straight away, Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
But
he was very into his role.
He was
that you didn't
very
realize
into his
the
role,
actor.
and I've never known anybody to pull off a bowl cut like the way that he did, and still make it quite attractive.
Hello, the Three Stooges, but not attractive. You didn't finish that last part.
Yeah,
but,
I said attractive.
Hello. Yeah, at the end, I'd already jumped into this.
I know, serves you right for jumping in.
So now I need to withdraw my statement.
And but even the same with Pattinson is. He took on that role, and I said I don't think he's going to be a good Batman. However, I think he is going to be an okay Batman.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not sure. I don't know how I am for that to be as a Batman yet. I try to always go into it as it's the same with like the Jokers, which we'll go into next. They're always going to be in the shadow of a previous actor in that role, and you just have to go into it with, okay, we've got Batman, and we're going to test it out. Like not be like, oh, you're never going to be like Christian Bale or Michael Keaton. Yeah. He's unfortunately gonna...
Or George Clooney.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think he'd be a good, like, between the Batman that we, like, everyone sees. Like, we always see him as an older man. Yeah. But I feel like he'd be a good... Because he's still quite young looking. Yes. And I feel like he'd be a good early stage young Batman.
But anyway, back to me and the movie.
Yes, back to you.
The movie was incredible. Like I said, Netflix, November 1. It is very plot heavy though, and I don't have much of an attention span. However, I do have quite an attention span when it's Timothée Chalamet. So I highly recommend this movie. Maz, who is studying to become a history teacher, it was interesting watching it from her perspective because she's into Shakespeare. She knows all of this. Her one thought was there wasn't enough battle scenes and stuff, but it's graphic. Okay. Be warned that it is quite graphic. Okay. But I highly recommend the movie. Also, we have fan mail. Yay.
Which you guys don't message us enough. We need more.
Nerdazons@outlook.com.
Yes.
So this one from apparently Mrs. Army Hammer. It's not me, I swear. And it says, "Hey Nerdazons, can you please do an episode on 10 on Call Me By Your Name? Love your podcast. Thanks, Mrs. Army Hammer."
I think we can do one. I will allow one, not 10.
So, yes.
Jokes. No, I'm very keen to do it.
We are going to do an episode.
Yep. Maybe a late Christmas present.
Present. I am super keen for this one. All right. So, next month, we are doing the Joker.
So, we're doing the New Age Jokers. So, we're comparing Heath Ledger, Jared Leto, and Joaquin Phoenix. So, please make sure you guys go out and go and see it. I have already seen it. I saw it on the opening night. It is so good. Oh. I cannot wait to talk about this. I have so much to talk about. Please try and watch the three of them if you can. It's just the New Age Jokers. If we went through all of them, we would need multiple episodes. Yes. But I just thought with the release of the new Joker, it would be good to have a look at the New Age ones only.
I've heard nothing but good things about the Joker, so I'm gonna go see her that Thursday, I think.
Yeah, I have got so much notes already. Okay. I'm so pumped. So it'll be Heath Ledger, Jared Leto, and Joaquin Phoenix.
Yes. And if you want to get in touch, you can email us at nerdazons@outlook.com, follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and listen to us on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and wherever you get your podcasts from.
That's it. And we'll see you next month.
Bye. Bye.